Did everybody get bumped off?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought
I did.
something.
Anybody know what happened here? Where's the audio? Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
He's waiting to sign back in.
Am I back?
Yeah, you are.
Oh man. Is Nick still on? I think when Nick logged on, he was actually the host. So when he logged off right now, he logged everybody off.
That's funny.
That is pretty funny. So I was like, hey, you got any questions? And then my screen popped up. Hey, you're getting booted off in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, boop. So awesome. Okay. So let me find where we were here. So let's go ahead and share a screen. Well, thank you for coming back. I appreciate that. I believe I was here. Share. And slideshow. All right. I think we were here. All right. Let me, excuse me one sec. Let me just pull it back up on my laptop if you don't mind. Okay, we're back. And I believe we were here, correct?
Yeah.
We were on the other page, I think, your value.
Okay, I think we were chatting right here. Does everyone have a printout of the class materials?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Because there's some fill in the blanks that we're going to work on in a little bit as well. So cool. We were talking about the value proposition, and it's a covenant between you and your customer. And then my question was, how do you think having a really well-prepared value proposition will help you move from just having a lead into moving them into contracts into pushing it into an actual closing? What are your thoughts?
Preparation, understanding of the market, understanding of what your specific value proposition is, how you differentiate against the field of other potential brokers and agents.
That's very well said. Yeah, it's going to help you stand out above the rest. So if someone was asking you like, hey, what are you all about? And you're like, well, if you knew what you were all about, you could confidently say, this is how I run my business, or this is what my value is compared to others. It'll definitely make you stand out, because I don't think everybody has their value proposition down. And I researched a couple that we can kind of go over in a little bit before you write yours from a lot of different companies. I thought it was extremely interesting to check out what other bigger companies had. And whoops, sorry. There you go. So what is the underlying purpose of real estate? So on your printout, I believe it's going to be page 3. There's 3 aspects of service, right? Number 1 of them is the purpose. Know the underlying purpose of the real estate profession. What exactly is your purpose to the real estate profession? Number 2 is your value proposition. Have and communicate a clear sense of how you deliver on that promise. So your value proposition is a delivery. And then number 3 is fiduciary. Exhibit and continual drive to put your client's needs above yourself. Now, when Gary Keller was researching for the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which I'm sure you've all have a copy, either PDF or the actual book, read it 10 times. He noted that every top producing agent that he spoke to had a deep and almost inherent sense of service. You cannot grow a real estate business if you don't prioritize your client's experience above all else. So a stellar experience is how you earn your commission, and it's how you earn all the referrals that they send your way. So we've identified these 3 aspects of service known as the underlying purpose of real estate. So a compelling value proposition, the fiduciary. So together, these aspects guarantee that your clients will have like the best possible real estate experience. And that's what I believe people are now looking for. There's a lot of different, restaurants out there. You can get Mexican food anywhere. You can get Italian food anywhere. You can get Thai food anywhere. But when you go to your favorite restaurant or your favorite place, the reason you go there is more of the experience. During this pandemic, have anybody went out to eat lately and you're eating like inside, outside in a tent in a parking lot?
Yep.
How was it?
Cold.
It was cold. So my wife and I, we wanted to somewhat remain normal. So we wanted to kind of go out to eat to some of our favorite restaurants and stuff. And we went to 2 or 3 of them. And every time we went to, like, especially her favorite place is George's Greek. And it's in Long Beach on Pine. And there's another one, I believe, in Lakewood. So we went to the one in Lakewood, and it's her favorite place to eat, right? All-time favorite. So we went there, and as we're eating, a Suburban pulls up, and you could feel the engine heat coming off of its engine while we're sitting there eating. And when we left, I was super uncomfortable because I don't like eating in a parking lot. I thought it was dirty. But she said, "Hey, did you notice the food just wasn't as good?" And I was like, the food wasn't as good. And maybe the food isn't all that amazing to begin with, but the food with the experience of being indoors and the vibe and the energy that's there makes it a better experience. Actually makes the food taste better. So it's the same thing with your customer service, right? Your customers are looking for an experience. And we're going to go over what sellers are looking for, what buyers are looking for later. But that experience is what we need to really capture. And in doing that, obviously our value ties into that. What type of experience are they going to get based on what I know, the value that I bring, and how I'm going to put their needs first are the 3 big aspects of that. So, papers on here. So the underlying purpose of the real estate, it's different between buyers and sellers. And we're gonna go over that in a minute. So for buyers, it's about finding them the right home at the best price, maybe the right timing, the least amount of problems, trying to make it hassle-free, right? So for sellers, it's about netting them the most money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of problems is most sellers' experience, what they're looking to get. So what happens to your clients' buying or selling experience if you don't understand that it's the underlying purpose of real estate? So, many questions about that so far? We're all good?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so it's significant that one phrase is shared with the buyers and sellers with the least amount of problems. So as a realtor, what are some of the problems you anticipate for your clients? And what have you done to avoid some of those problems? So some of you that sold real estate before, if you wouldn't mind chiming in. So as a realtor with experience, closing some sales, or maybe no experience, just what you know of real estate, what are some of the problems that you might anticipate for your clients? And what have you done to avoid those things?
I think negotiations and inspections, a lot of unforeseen issues. So managing expectations from the outset is a good way to hedge against these unforeseen issues, whether it's termite inspection or maybe a tough negotiation. repeated counters and denials and that kind of thing.
Gotcha. So those are some of the problems we have. Requests for repairs, inspections come up, and then there's proactive things you could do to avoid some of those. Obviously, with communication, sometimes letting them know these things exist, and then what you do to get around those, or what you do to negotiate those on their behalf, so that you come across as the negotiator, compared to just getting stuff get thrown at you and then you just throw it at your seller. So we definitely like to prep them prior to stuff happening. So anything else? Any other problems you've anticipated from your clients that you've had to have some actions to avoid some of those?
There's been things that arise, but I don't know if you can ever be prepared for it. One recent one was 2 days before close, somebody broke into the property, which was fortunately vacant. But I mean, for real estate, I feel like anything can pop up. Anything.
Yeah. So there's a whole array of things that could possibly happen during a real estate transaction. What I'd like you to feel really comfortable with is that knowing that as a professional like myself, sellers and buyers trust me to anticipate things happening and to be able to take care of the problems that pop up when they do, because I have the experience that maybe some others don't. And I'm backed by, the largest company on the planet when it comes to real estate. So we have everything kind of at our fingertips. So you're in good hands, right? Letting them feel good. So value proposition. So seeking out the value proposition, let's define what it is exactly. So your value proposition distills your service offerings into a set of benefits for your clients. So it states what you do for the client to earn your commission and helps to explain the complexity of what you actually do. It also helps hold you accountable to high standards. So when you do create your value proposition, obviously you need to stand behind that. So as we reflect on the definition, what do you see as the value of your value proposition right now? Anybody, real quick?
Will be finding the right lending for them.
Okay, part of your value proposition is finding them the right financing?
Financing, yeah.
Okay, anybody else? That's a good one.
Knowing your market, understanding it.
Knowing the market, that's huge. Yeah, being the economist of choice, knowing what's going on. What else? Excuse me.
Being trustworthy, transparent.
Ooh, definitely good ones.
Being able to provide resources for people.
Awesome. Another good one. Great. Because you might not have all the answers, but if you have all the resources, that's just as good. Okay. We usually, excuse me. Whew. We usually have a loose understanding of how we provide our clients the value. It's easy to forget what they might understand very little of that value. So you know what I mean? So you might think you have this amazing value. You might even say you do, but sometimes they don't understand the value that I actually bring, right? So that's why we kind of have to let them know to keep our value high. So your value proposition is what you bring to the experience. Your value proposition statement phrases your skills, your experience, your insights in language possibly that makes you more relevant to your client. For example, let's say you're fluent in English and Spanish, so you're bilingual. Rosie, you're bilingual, correct?
Yes.
See, okay.
See.
So you may be tempted to say to somebody like, hey, I'm bilingual, right? That is true, but it doesn't convey your value to the client. Not really. They might not really understand why that's important to them, right? So say, for example, a guy like myself, I do know some Spanish, but say I know no Spanish at all, and you say, hey, I'm bilingual in Spanish. I might be thinking, okay, great. Like, what does that have to do with me? But instead, you would say, you know, maybe you would include like, I'm bilingual and I have access to large pool of potential buyers for your home who are often overlooked by other agents because they're not bilingual. You know, so we live in Southern California, so the number of Spanish speaking households is huge, right? So being bilingual, if they don't understand that that's a huge value, you're going to let them know that you actually have more value than some of the other agents who are not bilingual, because they might miss out on the opportunity of picking up those buyers or that clientele who's looking to purchase your home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Rod, can I say something? Is
You could
that
always say something.
that just happened to me. I have a buyers who I put him in escrow last week, and the wife she speaks very, very little Spanish, but the husband he prefers Spanish speaking agents. And they were dealing with one who spoke no Spanish, and he didn't feel comfortable. And he told me that. He said, when you talk to me in Spanish. I want to hear everything that you tell my wife, the same thing. So you very right. Sometimes we don't realize, but you know, that's a huge value by giving that to potential buyers or sellers.
Yeah, and I use, you know, we have different value propositions here at Keller Williams as well. So for example, like, you know, international buyers, right? International buyers, I don't have the stats for 2020, but like 2019, 2018 was about 8% of the marketplace. So 8% of the market was international buyers. That's 1 in every 12 buyers is an international buyer. If the agent that you're hiring to list your home isn't advertising to international buyers or on a platform to do so, then you're missing out on, you know, 12% of the marketplace or 8% of the marketplace. Like, are you familiar with that? Are you aware of that? And the answer is usually no. It's like, well, great. Now that you are, I want to let you know that, boom, we do the X, Y, and Z. And that's why we are different. That's why hiring us makes more sense, right? So just saying that, you know, we advertise internationally just doesn't do it. We have to, you know, pour out some more of our value so they really understand what it is. So in a moment, we're going to craft your own value proposition statement. But before we do that, I want to talk to you a little about the final aspect of service. And that's actually going to be fiduciary versus functionary. So what the fiduciary and how it's different than a functionary. So let's go way back to middle school English class, and fiduciary is both an adjective and a noun. So as an adjective, it refers to something dealing with trust, especially relationships. You have a fiduciary duty to your clients to protect their best interest in all of the real estate dealings during what they will likely be the largest, most frightening transaction of their life. So they need that guidance, right? And as a noun, the fiduciary refers to a person who has that obligation. So you're the client's fiduciary. A functionary is just one who completes a task for a client, whereas a fiduciary completes tasks and goes beyond by placing their client's interest ahead of all others, even of their own. So for example, a functionary, you know, we might have, you know, a website where they're actually, or we might have an agent who's acting as a functionary. They might be a salaried agent with another company that starts with red, and they're going to transactions and they're not maybe showing transactions that are having commissions of 1%. Have you seen that? 1% commission for the buying agent side?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen it too. It's sad. So what do we still show those properties?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we do, right? Because we're a fiduciary. We are putting our clients' needs ahead of our own. Would we like to show them one at 3 or 4%? Oh my gosh, yes, we make so much more money doing so. But do we eliminate the ones that don't pay as much? We don't. Because we're not a functionary, we're a fiduciary, we're going to put our clients' needs and getting them that house above our own family's needs of actually making money. And we signed up for that. So being a fiduciary is a really big deal. It's an honor to be able to represent them in that capacity. So it's even more important in today's market to wear that badge of honor proudly by helping your clients understand the fiduciary role is a big part of your value proposition. You know, and I always, for myself, you know, I always tell people, I treat your money like my money. And I just had a buyer yesterday, same thing, investor looking to get some property here on the coast. They kind of gave me their criteria. They're from out of state, so they don't understand the market here and they don't understand what they're actually buying. And as a fiduciary, sometimes I talk them out of a sale. You know, and I've talked buyers out of sales before. I've talked sellers out of doing things that I would feel wouldn't be in their best interest. Whether they do it or not, it's completely up to them. You know, I work for them and I'll do what they say, but they're hiring me as a fiduciary, not just to functionally sell their house, but to guide them in the right direction so they can get the most of the transaction. Same thing with the buyer, right? To get them the house with the best value in the right school district, whatever they're looking for. It's my job to help them find that, not just as a functionary, but do what's in their best interest. So why are some ways you serve your clients as fiduciary during a real estate trust? Or what are some of the ways you serve as your clients as a fiduciary during the real estate transaction?
Home inspections are huge, I think.
Negotiating home inspections or providing them the information from them?
Yeah, because sometimes they don't understand, even though they read it, and sometimes they don't understand. And sometimes the home inspection is very detailed, and they don't see what you see sometimes. And so you bring it up, and it doesn't matter, like you mentioned, if you tell them, you know what, this is not a good investment for you, we're just going to keep looking, and then you explain why. And because they trust you at that moment, so they really follow your lead, you know, and they appreciate that. I say, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that. Yeah, I didn't know that. Or, you know, thank you for bringing that up. So they see that when you are being honest, and when you are being transparent, and you help them to understand those forms, or go over the home inspection report. I always go over with them, you know, I say, well, let's review this together. And they appreciate that.
No, exactly. So a functionary would have been like, here's the home inspection, here, sign here that you received it.
Mm-hmm.
Your fiduciary duty is like, hey, here's the home inspection. Let's go through this together. Although you're not a home inspector and you're not a contractor, but we're going to walk through this transaction together, or this report together, and really explain what the ins and outs and the pros and cons are all these things that they laid out. So to do so, you need to be a master of that house as well. You need to have the education and the knowledge behind knowing what's going to come up on those reports, what's a major thing, what's a minor thing, you know, and actually walk them through that, you know. And if you don't know some of those things, it's totally okay. Let us know that you don't know some things, and we'll have training classes on houses. I've taken plenty of agents on tours of houses, and we just walk the entire house, and I'll point, you know, I have a class called This Old House, and we go to some crappy houses out there and we pick the house apart. So we'll be like the home inspector. I'll bring a home inspector with me. We'll kind of pick through the house and show you the different pros and cons with a contractor or a home inspector, so that you can get an education on houses, how they're built, what's expensive, what's not expensive. For example, a lot of people don't know what a dampener clamp is on a chimney. Does anyone here know what a dampener clamp is?
Is that the thing that opens and closes under the going up on the chimney?
That's close. That's the dampener, right? The clamp is actually a C-clamp. I don't know if you see my hand. It's a C-clamp that goes on the dampener so it doesn't close all the way.
Ah, yeah.
So you could literally get a C-clamp at Home Depot for like 30 cents or 50 cents, less than $1. And you could put one on there yourself and actually stop that from closing all the way. So if something happens where that dampener closes and you got a fire going, the carbon monoxide doesn't fill the house and kill everybody in it, right? It's always open. So in California, we need those. So some people don't know what those are. So getting the education behind something like that really, really brings a lot of value to you, especially as the fiduciary and not just a functionary, just giving them a report. So any other questions, or maybe something you want to talk about, the difference between functionary and fiduciary? Does everyone really get the concept?
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Which one? The question?
the examples you gave on the functionary and fiduciary.
Okay, a functionary is just kind of going through the motions, right? So for example, a home inspection report comes in, you give your customer the home inspection report and says, here it is, sign here that you received a copy, right? That's a functionary. I'm doing a function. I'm getting a report. I'm just giving it to them. The fiduciary is what you do, Rosie, where you sit down with them and go through the actual report with them and have a discussion around what's in their best interest when we're writing requests for repairs, what's a serious repair, what's not a serious repair. And then obviously if they have concerns with that, you have the resources to help fix those things either before you close of escrow or after the close of escrow to be able to help them get through their fears or get their house in a really great, safe working condition. So functionary is just doing a function. Fiduciary is doing what's in their best interest.
Thank you.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about your value. So we're going to go back and look at some data around what clients want. We're going to kind of get a big picture, a look at your current real estate market, and we'll discuss some ways that technology can boost your value proposition. So let's go ahead and if you have your worksheet guide, we're going to go through page 4 and 4 through 6. Yep, 4 through 6. Everybody got theirs? They're writing some notes. So before we do that, we want to take a look at page 5 of your participation guide. So there's a space to write down some stuff about yourself, your strengths, your perspectives. So if you wouldn't mind, take a minute and write some of those responses down. This will be the beginning of crafting your unique value proposition, because the goal of today is to get your unique value proposition together and write it down, or at least get a brainstorming going so you can actually start thinking about writing one of these things. So on page 5, it says, consider the 3 aspects of service: the purpose, value proposition, and the fiduciary. How are these aspects already present in your relationships with your clients? Second question is, how could you improve your service based on the understanding of these 3 aspects? So you don't mind, take a minute, write some things down.
Sorry, are you on page 4?
I'm actually on page 5.
Okay.
Oh, this one right here. Page 5. Oh, ooh. Okay, so does anybody have something they'd like to share? How are your 3 aspects already present in your relationship with your clients? Your purpose, your value proposition, aspects of your service, your fiduciary. Anybody?
I'll join. My purpose is, I consider that the big why. So something we've talked about before, the motivation and what keeps you on track in all aspects of the relationship. Value proposition, it's your unique contribution. I'm thinking right now in the context of my personal relationships, my family. So my value proposition is that I have the will and the energy and all this to pursue this new career. The fiduciary is my ethical side. So my values and morals that I can bring to the benefit of my clients.
Awesome, excellent. So let's turn the page over to page 4. Not sure if we're going out of order here, but I think these are really important before we get into what the sellers and buyers' needs and wants are. It says reflect on your value. You guys see that page? Numbers 1 through 4. If you don't have it out, I'll read the question. Maybe you could just take some notes on a notepad. So question number 1 is, what words would you use to describe yourself? So what words would you use to describe yourself? So Tiffany, give me one word that would describe yourself.
Honest.
Honest. Excellent. CJ?
Help,
Sorry, you cut out there, CJ. What was it?
helpful,
Helpful. Excellent. How about you, Jennifer? What's a word that you'd use to describe yourself?
Trustworthy.
Okay, awesome. So question number 2 is, how would people that know you personally, how would they describe you? So the question is, how would people who know you personally, how would they describe you? Andrea, what do you think?
I put hardworking, friendly, kind, helpful.
Awesome, they'd say all those things. So Brendan, what do you think? How would people describe you that personally know you?
They would kind of describe myself as how I would describe myself: honest, hardworking, driven.
Okay. Sheila, what about you?
Kind of the same things, caring, good energy, honest, hardworking.
Gotcha. Okay. So those are great answers. Awesome. So we think very highly of ourselves. That's good. That's good. So what skills do you have that make you a great real estate agent? Let's jot down a couple of those. So everybody has skills, and whether you're new to real estate or not, there's skills that you have already that make you a really great real estate agent. So what skills do you have that make you a great agent? So if someone wants to throw out 1 or 2 skills, what skills you got? Are you getting ready, Rosie? Sounds like you're going to give me a couple skills.
Uh, well, I am bilingual. I am knowledgeable of the real estate market. Can negotiate.
Oh, great negotiator. Okay. Somebody else, shoot me out some skills. 1 or 2 skills that you got that's going to make you a great real estate agent.
Maybe I should say I'm not afraid to negotiate.
You're not afraid to negotiate. Gotcha. What else?
I've been good at explaining problems and simplifying them and persuading people who are on the fence.
Okay, awesome. Those are some great skills. Getting people off the fence, steering them in the right direction. Usually that comes with asking great questions. You know, they usually self-motivate, ask them some questions to get them in the right direction there. How many of you here have kids? Quite a few people.
Me.
Mm.
Are all those kids still alive? If you don't mind me asking.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So you must all be really patient. You must have really great patience.
Patient. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got 6 kids, so patience is my thing. So it really take a lot to upset me. So as you're riding with a marker on the side of my car, whew, all my kids are still alive. I haven't killed any of them yet. They're all doing great. So I have a lot of patience. What about one of the skills I put down is being question based. So instead of telling, I like to ask questions, and they could self-discover. So instead of telling them something, I would ask them a question. How do you think the market's going right now? Oh, I heard it was, my sellers. Oh, I heard it was crazy. Like, oh, you're absolutely right. What makes you say that? Well, it shows that, houses are selling in less than a week. Wow. Okay. So you're saying, based on what you've seen, it's a hot seller's market, right? Like, yeah. So they're telling me it's a hot seller's market. I don't have to tell them anything. I can ask them a couple questions to help them self-discover. And we do the same thing in coaching. It's just asking a bunch of questions. They'll self-discover. And at that point, they're in on it, right? So they believe what they believe. So I don't have to get them to believe what I believe. I ask them some questions, and they 100% believe what they believe. So works out really well, being a great question asker, being question-based. So question number 4, it's the last question on this page. What experiences do you have that make you a great real estate agent? The first question talked about skills, your skills, right? Now we're going to talk about experiences, things that have happened in the past, things that have happened to you, experiences that you've lived through, experiences you have maybe personally or professionally. So what experiences do you have that make you a great real estate agent? So I have 6 kids, so I'm really good at working in hostile environments.
Yeah. Or hostile agents.
So trust me, I'm already skilled in hostile and in terrorist negotiation tactics. Like I have all those kids. The best negotiators, if you remember when your kids are small, they're the best negotiators. They don't stop. Have you guys ever seen that old YouTube video with he's a little Hispanic kid. He goes, Linda, Linda, Linda.
Yeah.
He's talking to his mom. He's calling his mom by the first name. Listen, Linda, listen, Linda. And he wanted a cookie or something.
Yeah.
And he just wouldn't stop. He was the best negotiator. But guess what? He probably got that cookie. Like he was very persistent. So little kids are great negotiators. They don't take no for an answer. They just keep asking questions until they get what they want. So, some of you have backgrounds in sales, maybe communication, is super huge. So you wouldn't mind sharing just 1 or 2 real quick, 1 or 2 experience that you think make you a great real estate agent?
Work in hostile environment.
Working with teams. So in real estate, it would extend to the escrow team, the inspector, all the different parties, and just pulling everyone together on the same page.
There you go. You're like a general contractor. You're a project manager. You're able to take all of those people and be the head of that transaction. So you're more of the quarterback of the team, right? They're the owners, right? They're the owners of the team. You're the quarterback. They hired you to run all the plays and make sure that you win. So, say for example, you were in sports, right? That would be a great analogy. It's like, look, I played football, all through college. I know about teamwork. I know about getting the job done. And as the quarterback of this transaction, you're hiring me to take advantage, or not take advantage, but take control of the entire situation and run multiple things at the same time. I have years and years and years of experience and training in doing that. Even though I'm brand new in real estate, right? You might be your first sale, but you already have the skills, maybe from another company or another profession, to be able to do that as well. So some great experiences there. All right, let's switch some gears here. and then know your the state of your value. So we're going to talk about value proposition, right? So when we're talking, we're going to look at some data around what clients want, so we can get a big picture and look at what our clients, the real estate market, and then discuss more ways that technology can maybe possibly boost your value proposition. So we are going to take a look at this slide here. So take a look at this slide here. What buyers want most from a realtor, right? Yeah, what buyers want, right? So the graph covers the top responses that are categorized, and then everything else is just plopped into other, right? So what are we talking about in our conversation when we talk about value? It's showing on this chart that 52% are looking to find the right home to purchase. So in your value proposition, letting them know that you're the one to help them find, especially working with buyers, find the right home to purchase. Finding the home is most important to them. Second most important is helping with price negotiations. So does knowing what people want or knowing what buyers want make it a little easier to create a compelling value proposition?
Absolutely.
Gotcha. So based on this, I mean, we're looking at what buyers want. You know, if I was to put a value proposition together, finding the right home to purchase and negotiating the terms, you know, that would be my value. It's like people hire me to find the right home for their family for the right price. Right home, right price. That's exactly what they're looking for. So that's what buyers want. So and then paperwork's another one, right? So negotiate the terms of their sale is probably the paperwork involved. So do you guys see that? I mean, you guys have the printout, so you have the guide, what buyers want. So on page 6 of your guide, it's gonna spit out what the buyers want, what the buyer's value is. So keep that so that as we're creating our value proposition, you could be in alignment with what buyers are looking for when you're working with buyers. And then the second thing we want to look at for buyers is, what do buyers actually value? We know what they're looking for, but what do they actually value?
You being
So,
honest.
yeah, so when asked the most important factors in choosing a real estate agent, there were the top 5 answers from buyers. So check out the list. Is there any ahas that stick out to you? What buyers are actually looking for?
Yeah.
What was that?
16% reputation.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like what people think about you. So
Yeah.
your reputation shows up in what? Reviews?
Reviews, yeah. So they actually, do you think that has come up? This one is 2018, you know, when they did this.
Uh-huh.
Is there a way that we can see maybe the 20 or maybe the 19?
Well, what they do is they take surveys of the people that close, so they need to collect data before they come out with new stats.
Mm-hmm.
So usually the stats are a few years behind, just due to the fact that the stats that they get in 2019, for example, are for all the sellers or buyers that bought in 2018.
I'm just curious to see if that has changed. How often do they do those stats, NAR? Do you know?
Well, they should be doing them every year. I'm not sure how they communicated with them this year. I could look some up, but I would think that the reputation of the agent and the reviews have probably gone up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think it would actually go down.
Yeah. I'm just curious to see how much higher that has gone in the last 2 years.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we select one of those factors on the buyer's value on page 6, which, so we're talking about the value we're looking at right here. Let's see. So for example, like the phrasing, an agent is honest and trustworthy. You know, could be, you could depend on me and help you make the best decision. So honest and trustworthy, which is 19%, you know, you could depend on me to help make the best decisions. So instead of saying, hey, I'm honest and trustworthy, right? The same exact phrase, just used differently, would be, you could depend on me to help you make the best decisions. Clients depend on me to help them make best decisions. So that's getting across honesty and trustworthiness. So there should be on page 7, there's a client-centered language, buyer's participation guide. So it's going to ask, what skills do you have or services do you offer that align with the buyer's wants? That's what sellers. Here's the buyers. Buyer's wants.
Is that question number 3, you said, the skills?
Oh, I'm actually moving the wrong PowerPoint here. So here's the buyer's value, and this is what they want. So check out the values. This is what they value. I was doing it on my computer, and I noticed you guys weren't seeing the same page. So my apologies here. So here's what, based on 2018 stats, here's what NAR is saying that buyers want. The reputation of the agent is extremely important. That's number 1, 31%, their reputation. And a lot of times that reputation comes from how people perceive them. So next is agent is honest and trustworthy. And then 50%, they're a friend or a family member. So getting a referral is huge. And then buyers are looking for someone who knows the neighborhood, can answer some questions about their neighborhood. And we know how easy that information is. I mean, we can go on 1,000 different sites to get information about their neighborhood. They can do just as much research as you can. So having some knowledge of the neighborhood, usually around schools, and whatever they're interested in. So if you know what your buyers are interested in, if schools are their number 1 factor, obviously knowing the neighborhoods that fit best for them is going to be a great value add.
Quick question. On your screen, it says 31% is reputation of agent, but on the worksheet, it says reputation of agent is 16%.
So I think which one? Agent reputation is 31. Well, that is correct. That's interesting. It's a great observation.
Okay.
Not exactly sure why.
Well, I know reputation does weigh high on people's minds when they're picking someone.
For example, like my wife looks online at everything we do. She goes to Yelp. It's like, oh, well, they got 2 horrible reviews. I was like, well, and I've been eating there for 30 years. The place is delicious. I know the owner, right? They got 2 bad reviews. I mean, they don't have 500 reviews and 495 of them are bad and 5 are good. You know, they got 2 out of 3 reviews. 2 of them might not be good. So people that are upset about something, they probably went and voiced their opinion. But usually, you know, sometimes people don't reviews on things that are really great. Like I didn't leave a review. So, yeah. So, you know, that reputation usually online or those reviews are going to be really, really important. So on back at page 7, it says, what skills do you have or services that you offer that align with what the buyer's wants? So if we're looking at what the buyer's wants are, you know, their biggest one is helping find the right home. So if you're marketing or advertising, say, for example, in the city of Whittier, you know, with the statement, you know, I know Whittier homes, you know, or, you know, I've been in Whittier for 40 years or born and raised, you know, stuff like that would just give you the perception of knowing the area and then helping them find the right home. Or, you know a lot about homes, you know, I build homes for a living, or, you know, there's a lot of different phrases you could use that would portray helping them find the right home to purchase. So what do you guys come to mind when you think with what skills you have that align with what the buyer's wants are right now?
I like the idea of touting your experience growing up in the area, being in the area for a long period of time. In another class, it was shared that we can build out our reputation now on Yelp and these other sites like Google and Facebook, and we can have our colleagues and friends and family testify for our integrity, our character, our willingness to help, these kinds of things.
Exactly. So say, for example, you had, you were looking to get some reviews and you didn't have any past clients because you haven't sold any real estate yet, but you have a huge sphere of influence and you grew up in the city of Santa Fe Springs. You went to Santa Fe Springs High School, part of the city council, you know, something like that. You work for Parks and Recreation. You could get reviews from people that would justify your, you know, professionalism or your knowledge of the area, you know, or your skill set. So those type of reviews are all great. They didn't say anything about you selling them a home, but that's all the perception. You know, it's like if I said, you know, Joe knows Santa Fe Springs, you know, then I would just assume that you would know all of the homes in Santa Fe Springs. But you could definitely get reviews from friends and family and other coworkers. I give reviews to other colleagues as well. And I think that's a great value proposition when I go to listing presentations and I would say, here's some reviews from past clients. Well, guess what? Here's a stack of reviews from other real estate professionals. You know, working with Rob made the transaction so easy and smooth. I would definitely work with him anytime. You know, he represented his seller amazingly, right? You know, so you can get reviews from other real estate agents and other service professionals as well to boost up your reviews. So that's really big, how you interact with other agents as well.
Thank you.
So what characteristics or habits do you have that align with what the buyer's values are? So it says reputation of agent is huge, right? Agent's honesty and trustworthiness. Like buyers are looking for these values in a real estate agent.
I think built into the reputation question is this one going to fight for me? You know, is it going to really get me the best price that we can for this? And that kind of works against, like, if you're a buyer, right, you're working against your commission. So that's a little dicey, but you know, I think that's the expectation, is that you are going to work for the best price, so you retain their trust.
Exactly. So right now, when I'm doing buyer's consultations, it's not necessarily about the best price. It's about winning. And right now, winning is getting you that home. So you told me you need to buy this year. You have the down payment, interest rates the lowest they've ever been. Right now is the best time for you to get in. Let's look at the pros and cons, the cost of waiting compared to doing it right now. Sometimes the cost of waiting costs too much, and I'd rather pay a little bit more now to start having peace of mind and owning a home now compared to having the best sales price. Sometimes price and getting the best sales price on the buyer side isn't the objective. Just like sometimes sellers aren't always looking for the highest price in the quickest, most convenient timeline. Sometimes they're not looking for that. Sometimes they don't have a convenient timeline. They could be there another year. Maybe it's just the price. Maybe it's, I've had sellers that just needed to get out of Dodge. You know, they're like, hey, I need this house sold, you know, not in this crazy market. I need this house sold in a week, right? If I can't get this house sold in a week, my husband's sick. He needs to get on a plane. We're not going to be able to fly in the next 14 days. So I need you to take over and prep this entire house for sale while we're gone in another state and we're not coming back. It's like, that was the main objective. It wasn't price. It wasn't commission. It was timing. They needed to leave very soon and take whatever they could with them because their husband was sick and he wasn't going to last another couple years. So The main objective always isn't price. So finding out what their need, what that particular client's needs are, is extremely important. Then be able to negotiate that. So, for example, if you don't mind me getting off topic here, I went to a listing presentation with this older couple, and that was the situation. So I'm sitting here in front of you today because you guys know I know how to sell houses, right? And they said, yes, of course. That's why we called you. Okay, great. So since you already know how to sell houses, we definitely don't need to go through this listing presentation. What exactly do you need to happen in the next couple of weeks to get you to where you want to go? That was it. So it wasn't about me selling houses. It was now about like, what were their needs? Their needs were, I need this house prep to sell. I need to empty all my stuff out. We're only leaving with 1 pod worth of stuff, and the 40 years worth of stuff is being left behind. We need you to take care of all that for us. Great. What else? But there was really nothing else. That was it. Okay, great. Sign here today. We'll have a game plan in the next 7 days to have your pod delivered. Put your stuff in there, order your plane tickets, and get out of Dodge. I'll handle the rest. And we did. Super simple. So finding out what their needs were and then just filling their needs had nothing to do with price or commission. They got the best price because they already know that's what we do. So I set the groundwork with like, you already know I know how to sell houses, right? Great. That's why you invited me here today. Perfect. Let's get that out of the way. Now let's focus on what your needs are. And they had very specific needs. Sometimes that's the case for all people.
Was this someone that you met or that you know, past client?
I did not know them, no.
Okay, so you just went with that confidence and you wanted to know, you wanted to find out.
It was a referral from, they knew me from the neighborhood. I sold other houses in that neighborhood. So I just figured I'd just throw it out there real quick. And they said yes. And I said, awesome. So I didn't have to really do much work after that. Just sign the contract. Let's put some dates together and let's move. So it was actually very simple. Clearing the house out wasn't simple. They had 40 years worth of stuff in there. So that took 2 weeks and a lot of elbow grease, but yeah, but the rest was easy. But I was able to facilitate all their needs. So the value proposition for me was, I have everything you need to get all that done. Like they don't have to worry about anything. You just need to get on a plane and leave. Cleaning the house, prepping the house, staging the house, painting the house, whatever we need to do, I have all of that covered. So it's a one-stop shop with me. Just give me the keys, sign the contract, and get out of Dodge. And you'll get your money in a couple weeks. No problem. And they like that. So that was my value proposition to them. It was a one-stop shop. They don't need to do anything. So I even brought people to their house, helped them pack. And, all that stuff got paid for by them, by the way. So I didn't have to pay for any of it either. So some of the characteristics and habits that you have that aligns with the buyer's values and needs as well. Agent is a friend or family member. That's kind of a big one. A lot of people are looking for referrals. So if you're not that referral source, I tell people that 95% of my business comes from referrals. So my clients, friends, family, they all trust me to refer me to other people. So even though I wasn't referred to this particular customer, if you're sitting in front of a customer that wasn't referred to you, like a buyer, and they weren't a referral, maybe you got them offline, by giving them that statement, I'm already assuming, they're already assuming that I am a referral because I just told them all of my business is referrals. So it kind of helps me get over that hump a little bit. Does that make sense? Somewhat?
Could you explain that again, please?
Gotcha. So
About your 98% refer.
Gotcha. So what I do is if I was to sit in front of another person, like a buyer's consultation, and it wasn't a referral, I always explain to them that I get all of my business from referrals. So it's already implying that, the agent is a friend or a family member, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at referrals. So if most buyers are looking, they feel trust, they feel that you're the best agent because you were a referral, whether you're amazing or not. I always portray that all of my business comes from referrals, because it does. Like 95% of my business comes from referrals. So I tell people that so they already feel comfortable that I'm the referral guy, even though they weren't referred to me.
You're putting them in the referral column, basically, right there.
Exactly. So now that I can get them to feel like I was a referral because all of my business is referrals. And that opens up the door for them to give me referrals too. So I'm actually getting some of that percentage here. So when we're looking at buyer's value, they're looking for an agent that's a friend or a family member. Most likely they're looking for a referral. So I kind of cover that column. So I'm actually picking some of that column up, even though they're not a referral. So let's take a look at what sellers want here real quick. So based on the stats from NAR from 2018, it's showing that, what is that, 20% to help sellers market their home to potential buyers. So marketing, 20% is marketing. And then another 20% is pricing it competitively. 19% help sell the home with the specific time frame. So timing is key. So like at marketing, pricing, timing. And then the last one there, the other 14% is helping find a buyer for their home. And then they look at negotiating their contracts. And then 13% is a whole bunch of other things. So sellers are looking for marketing, pricing it, obviously to get the most money, or pricing competitively to get people in the door, and then help sell their home in a specific time frame. So for example, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can you drill into that number one point? I know what marketing is as it pertains to real estate, but what does a buyer think marketing it is? What's in their mind when they're thinking about market my home? Some specific things that to lead with.
So we're talking about sellers here, right? So sellers are looking.
Apologize. Yeah, sellers. So yeah, sell my house. And what kinds of expectations are they more likely going to have?
So right now, most sellers are saying they're looking for help in marketing their home to buyers. Like, what exactly are you going to do to market my home to find a buyer?
Okay. Well, yeah, there's the MLS and then online, but I was just wondering, because different agents I've worked with in the past had vastly different notions about the effectiveness of marketing. One of them said, look, everything's price driven. Your price is your leading vehicle for marketing. Everything else really doesn't matter.
Gotcha. And you're absolutely right. So what sellers want and what actually gets their home sold are two different things. So for example, I have a quick story here. There was two top producing agents. They were both mega agents and in the same market, right? And they both worked at Keller Williams. They were both, $40, $50 million producers. And they both went on a listing presentation together. And what we do know is we know that open houses don't sell houses, right? Pricing sells houses. Most likely it's pricing. We all know that the data shows that pricing it in the market and not just on the market drives the most traffic. And then second is probably the way the house looks, right? Pictures and the IDX feed that goes out to the world is what attracts most people to a houses. So these two agents went to a house. One of them is very analytical and he brings all the data. He shows them that, hey, pricing the house and putting it online and then negotiating is probably the things that I'm looking to do. And the seller looked at him and said, what about open houses? And he's like, yeah, well, statistically, open houses don't really sell houses. Here's the stats behind that. And the agent is absolutely correct, right? The second agent comes in for a listing appointment, talks with the same sellers, kind of goes through his thing. And they asked him about open houses. And he said, yeah, no, definitely. We love doing open houses. So we're going to do an open house on this day and this day. And this is what we do to promote open houses as well. And we know open houses are a lot for the agent. We get more buyers from that. We advertise in the neighborhood, pick up some more sellers. And the guy who did the open house got the listing, even though open houses don't sell houses, right? So when they got together, those two agents got back together. They asked him, well, why did you get the listing over me, right? And he said, because I did open houses. Well, open houses don't sell houses. But what the first agent didn't do was he didn't ask a question, why are open houses important to you? And when the second agent asked that question to the seller said, well, we bought this house from an open house. We just walked in one day and bought it. So in that particular seller's mind, open houses is what sells houses, not pricing, not internet marketing. You know what I mean? So how you market a property or what the seller's looking for, we might want to ask them what exactly they look for in an agent when it comes to marketing their home. And usually they're going to tell you. So what's important to you about marketing your home? What type of marketing are you familiar with looking for? And they're going to say, well, I want to see it on Facebook, on the internet. You know, they might have done some research and seen that that works. And okay, great. Well, based on my marketing plan, these are the things that we're going to do.
Thank
So,
you.
you know what I mean?
That's
So,
really huge.
does that make sense?
Yeah, it really speaks to my experience because I had one agent who just kind of laughed at the idea of open house. What do you want to do that for? You know, and but my wife was like, he doesn't even want to do an open house. How interested is this guy?
So I love doing open houses, and I'm a big open house guy. I'm an open house and door knocking guy. So for me and my team, open houses and door knocking, besides the database, that was our number 2 and 3 when it comes to lead generation. And the reason for that is I always tell the seller, it's like, look, how long have you lived in this neighborhood? And they're going to tell me 20 years. What do you love about this neighborhood? Okay, I love this and this and this. Now you have a bunch of neighbors around here. Why do they live in this neighborhood? Well, they live in here for the same reasons. The school district's awesome. They raised their family here. It's close to the freeway, all those great things. Great. Imagine if I was to hire all of the neighbors to help sell your home at the same time for free. Would that be an interest to you? Oh, dude, that's awesome. How exactly are you going to do that? I'm going to have an open house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to door knock the entire neighborhood, and I'm going to personally invite all of the neighbors to come to your house when you're not here and hang out with me. Hang out, have a Pepsi, you know, and have a hot dog or some pizza or some tacos or something. We're going to hang out. We're going to have lunch, and they're going to be here, and they're going to tell every single person that comes in here how amazing this neighborhood is. Do you think that's a great value for selling those buyers the most money for your house and get them in? And they're going to say,
Awesome.
yeah, that's awesome. I've never even heard of that before. Most people just have an open house. It's like, yeah, most people just have the house open. But what I want to do is you're hiring me to sell your house, right? Well, this is what I do to sell your home. I hire all the neighbors for free, for free, to help sell the value of your home. Who better to sell the value of your home than the neighbors? They live here. You think the neighbors are going to say, oh, this neighborhood's horrible? You know, they're not. Otherwise, they would have moved. So when I door knock and they say this neighborhood's horrible, I say, great. When are you selling your house? I'll meet you next week. So, you know, marketing their home is extremely important, but understanding what the sellers want from marketing is another one. So now we kind of look at what the sellers want. What do sellers value in a real estate agent? What do they value? So right here, 35% says other, which really doesn't help us out that much. But the reputation of the agent is huge. You know, the agent being honest is trustworthy is 19%. You know, a referral for a seller is really good. And then they go off agent's experience. If we don't have a lot of experience, you have experience in doing something. It necessarily doesn't have to be selling real estate. You might have negotiation experience for the last 20 years, you know? So, you know, terrace negotiations. I got 6 kids. I'm amazing at negotiations. Trust me. Right. So, or you could use the experience of your office or the experience of your network. You know, right now you guys are with Pacific Estates, which has a huge brand, right? We have 4 offices for Pacific Estates, Newport, Cerritos, La Mirada, and Long Beach. Amazing network. You look at the amount of sales and volume that we do, that experience goes a long way. Anything that possibly pops up in a real estate transaction, I have an answer for you because I have, you know, 180,000 other agents who work collectively together to get your home sold. So what sellers value is an agent's reputation, which is huge. So that's where you're going to get your testimonials from. I definitely get as many testimonials as possible. I have one agent in the Brea office that I work with, and that's all he does. When he sits down for a listing presentation, he brings a big old book. It's a 3-ring binder, probably has 200 pages in it. And it says testimonials on the front. He brings that with him and he just sets it on the table. Doesn't talk about it. And then he goes through what he does and they ask him like, well, what about that? Oh, that's a book of all of my testimonials. Would you like to see them? And it's literally page after page after page after page of all these client testimonials that he's put in one book. And by the time they look at that, it's already done. Like it's really hard to compete with that. So he's pretty smart in overwhelming them and not only the knowledge of the real estate industry, the market, and then obviously having those referrals or those testimonials to back them up is pretty amazing. So if you're here because you're new to the industry, you know, that's great. Everyone's got to start somewhere. So in your guide, there's a place to record your opportunities for growth, which is on page number 10. So I want you to use that space not to beat yourself up because you don't have 15 years of real estate experience, but to record some areas you'd like to improve for your clients. So if you could be something, you could do something differently today. It could be a 5-year goal. It could be a 3-year goal. Let's write down a couple growth opportunities that you're looking for to be able to become the agent, to be able to satisfy the sellers and the buyers' needs. There might be some things that you need to work on. Hopefully it's not honesty and trustworthy, right? Maybe experience, maybe some stuff about some houses, but take some notes there, write down some growth opportunities. What's really great about taking these classes is you get to go back year over year and take a look at your notes. So I'll go back and take a look at my notes, a class I've taken 2-3 years ago, and I might not have checked all those things off that list. And it's a reminder that, hey, I need to put this on my calendar, of my growth calendar for my education of what I want to learn or who I want to become. A lot of times people, you know, as a recruiter, a lot of times people talk to me about like, what are you going to give me? Like, what are you going to give me? What do I get for being at Keller Williams? And sometimes it's not about what you get, it's about who you become. So the education that you receive here, the amount of collaboration that we have is going to transform you into a different person, not only professionally, but personally. So there's a lot of growth opportunities there for us. So go ahead and jot some of those notes down. So anybody want to share anything so far? Any ahas that pop out to you? So we went through the client-centered language page for buyers. We actually have the same one for sellers. So if you wouldn't mind, we've got a couple minutes real quick. Let's go ahead and talk about some of those things. So we kind of looked at what the seller's values are and what the sellers want. Again, you know, what characteristics or habits do you have that align with what the seller's values are? One of you is going to say, I have a great reputation. It doesn't necessarily have to be in real estate, but it has to be out there. I have a great reputation. You know, maybe I have a great reputation at my church. I have a great reputation at the local school. I'm part of the PTA with my children. You know, everybody who knows me knows that I'm X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, none of these says that they insist on an agent that's got 10 years, 15 years experience. You know, these are all things that we can fulfill today or in the short term.
No, exactly. So for example, I had a seller ask me once, it's like, well, you don't sell in my neighborhood. I said, exactly. I've never actually sold a house in your neighborhood. You're absolutely right. So you don't know much about my neighborhood? It's like, I actually don't live in your neighborhood. I've never sold in your neighborhood. So I don't know much about your neighborhood. Is that important to you? She's actually, yes, it is. It's actually very important to me. Okay, great. Who do you know in this neighborhood who's lived here the longest? And she'd be like, oh, it's Fred over on the corner. He's the original owner. He's been here for 45 years. Okay, great. I mean, he knows the neighborhood really well, right? Yeah, no, he does. He's been here for 45 years. Like I said, before all this stuff was built, he knows everything about this neighborhood. Great. Why don't you hire him to sell your house?
Really?
I mean, that's what I would say. I mean, I've said it. Like, why don't you hire him to sell your house? Oh, well, I mean, you know, because he doesn't know how to market your house to the most buyers possible to get the most money and then negotiate all the terms and the legal contracts to make sure that you're not sued by the buyer. Oh, that's what you're hiring a realtor for, right? Okay, great. So I might not know your specific neighborhood, but I do know how to drive the most traffic to your house, price and negotiate your property, market your property, and then make sure that after you sell this home, you don't get sued for some reason by not disclosing properly. That's why you're hiring a real estate professional. That's why sellers trust me to get their home sold so that none of those things happen to them. Does that make sense? Because if it was just about the neighborhood, you would just hire Joe down the street there, or Fred, or who's ever been there for 45 years, because they know the neighborhood. That's not what you're looking for, isn't it? And that's not what they're looking for. So look at my map. I sell houses all over the place. It's not one particular neighborhood. So buyers, on the other hand, are probably looking for you to know more about the neighborhood, because they don't want you to just shove them in a house like a functionary. They want you to be a fiduciary and know the neighborhood for their kids and their family and what their needs and wants are. So a little more research about the neighborhood when you're sticking them in there. Sticking them in, selling them a house in that neighborhood. Does that make sense? So anybody want to chime in on some of the characteristics or some of the skills that they have to match up with what some of these sellers are, the sellers value, or what the sellers are looking for? Sellers wants and sellers value. Okay, excellent. So who are your competitors? So in real estate, you know, we've undergone some significant changes in the last few years. Investors income, you know, we have investors coming into the market who intend to disrupt the industry, and they have. We have iBuyers are driving down commission prices, and then we have some companies that move toward eliminating real estate agents altogether. Maybe some putting them directly on salary, right? Like Redfin, for example. So who are your local competitors? Who are you competing with for your clients and your commission? That was a question. Who's your local competition? Who are your competitors?
I've got a dominant broker, Capri Realty in Bixby Hills.
Gotcha. Okay. So so knowing your competition is really going to help. Do you know their value proposition?
They have a long tenure here. I would say 30, 40 years. And it's unopposed until I've come in.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you ever came across a presentation where, you know, you're not from that company and that you had to overcome some of that?
No, I'm not licensed yet even, so I'm not making those calls yet.
Gotcha. But you will be. So you're getting ready for it.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So what we want to do is understand the competitor and their values. So a lot of times we'll do, especially in recruiting, we'll do a thing called guerrilla warfare. We'll kind of take a look at what other companies are doing and what values they're adding to their agents. And we want to make sure we understand what our competition is doing so we could add even more value. For example, I had a title company come in here a couple days ago, and I won't mention their names, but they said, "Hey, can I have 5 minutes of your time?" I said, "Great. What can I do for you?" And they said, "Well, what other title companies are in your office?" Well, here's what they are. Okay, great. What are each one of them? What are they providing for their agents? Like, what kind of value are they bringing to the agents? And I would tell them, like, hey, here's this person's bringing this value. This one's got this value. This one's really amazing. This one's been in business forever. Okay, great. What they were doing is they're doing the guerrilla warfare. They want to know what the competition is doing so that they can up their game. So if you know that your competition, you know, their biggest value proposition is like, hey, we have these amazing marketing flyers, right? And that's their thing, is like marketing flyers or brochures or postcards. Well, great. Not only are you going to have that, but you have something in addition to that. So besides just having amazing marketing materials, I have X, Y, and Z. So you know your competition, you've matched them, and you've exceeded the expectation of what the sellers and the buyers are looking for through your value, because you know what your competitors are doing. So does anybody have any questions around that, or some things you want to talk about when it comes to the value of knowing what your competitors have, what you're up against in the market?
I think that's really interesting and not something I really thought about before. How would you suggest that we find out? Because it's not like they're going to do a listing presentation with us or something.
A lot of times you could look up those companies online. Kind of tells you what they're all about.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, like I'll look up Redfin. Like, what's Redfin got going on? What is their value to Redfin? Redfin is saying like, hey, by the way, we're going to save you a lot of money, right? So we're going to give you 1% back when you sell and buy with us, and so knowing that information. So now that I know about what Redfin has to offer, or what an iBuyer has to offer, for example, like I look into iBuyer programs. Which iBuyer programs are out there? What does it actually look like? So for me, I put my own house up there. I'll go ahead and go to an iBuyer program. I'll type my address in there. I'm thinking about selling my house. Boom, give me some information. They'll send me that information. And what you don't realize is that iBuyer program, they want to buy my house for less. Plus they have like 7 or 8% fees that are all built in. So instead of being percentages, they have different fees. And those fees actually cost me more money. So for the net to the seller, if they're thinking of going the iBuyer route, Keller Williams, we actually have an iBuyer route too. Keller Williams will buy your house. And we'll go ahead and, buy it all cash with so many close of a days, and then you'll relist the property. So, and we have other investors in the office that'll do that as well. So they're looking to go the iBuyer route. I could actually probably sell your house faster for more cash, more net in your pocket than using one of these other programs without actually even putting it on the market. So knowing what the competition is out there, iBuyers aren't really huge here in LA and Orange County yet. More of like the Phoenix area, they're there, but during COVID they kind of trickled away. But as the market starts to recover, they're actually coming back. So understanding what your competition is in the area is going to help you with your value proposition to do more than the competition.
Thanks.
So let's talk a little bit about tech real quick, and then we're going to get into breaking down some of your value proposition here. So here's a great thing about being with Keller Williams is the company's committed to adding to your value proposition. In today's market, that means investing in technology that propels your business forward. We've already talked about Command in the KW app in the past in the other classes. Now I want to focus on, tech that affects your clients. So Agent Sites allows contacts to save searches for homes, allows agents to create searches on their behalf of contacts and clients. Have you guys used the mobile app for your clients yet? The ones who are licensed?
No.
No mobile apps yet? So the mobile app looks like this on the screen there. You can actually see it. It's actually really nice. And it's not all about you. So it's not branded all about you, but there is a back end to that, which is called Command. So if I was to share my mobile app with a customer, whether it be a buyer or a seller, they're able to see what's happening in their neighborhood. They're able to see what's happening in every hyper-local neighborhood in the entire United States. So since we have all that mapping data from Nextdoor, we use that to our advantage. And then this app was beta tested by Google as well. So it works really well. Google addresses, Google searches. You can actually search by landmark, for example. Like I could type in, Dodger Stadium. It's going to give me all the houses around Dodger Stadium. I could take my finger and just put a circle around a certain area. It's going to give me all the houses for sale. So it has a lot of features on the app that your customer could use. And on the back end side, you could see what they're doing. So if they were to like a couple homes, if they were going to write a note about a home, they could ask for a showing of a home. That actually comes through your command system and pops up under notifications that they're looking at stuff. So you might have some people out there that download your app that are looking at homes and they're liking them. They don't even know who you are. They've never met you before because they might have your mom might have shared the app from them, or they downloaded it off the internet, maybe from a Facebook ad that you had. And every time they like a home, they're pretty much raising their hand. Hey, I'm over here. I'm looking at these homes. I possibly want to buy one, and I might actually have one for sale. So utilizing that to your advantage, the tech really works really well. And then we have individual IDX sites that create personal landing pages for your clients as well. So they're able to see the activity in their specific neighborhood that they care about, and they're able to pick as many neighborhoods as they want. So the KW app is more of an end-to-end consumer app powered by AI and machine learning. So it's able to do a lot of communication within itself, and then it ties to your command as well. So if you haven't played with it a little bit, I'd put yourself in as a customer, or maybe put your spouse or your cousin as a customer and start playing with it. and you'll see the benefits of it. It's actually really great. I use it all the time.
So I used it before and with the link, and it's supposed to link you as their agent. So I did a test and it doesn't show me though. It actually tells them to find your agent. I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, sometimes there's a specific link that has like a backslash with your name on it.
Yeah, so I used the one like when you go into command and it says to set this one up, and it didn't send them automatically to me though.
That's interesting. Gotcha. I'll look. What market center are you with?
Long Beach.
Long Beach. Okay, yeah. Do you guys have a IT tech trainer there?
Yeah, it's I forgot her name, but yes, they're at Tori.
Tori, gotcha.
Yeah.
I would check with her and try it out a couple more times. I've used it with a lot of success. Sometimes when they're updating some of that software, some of that stuff kind of goes out of whack. But I would definitely try it again. It's a really great tool. We also have a lot of landing pages for people that are brand new. We have a lot of smart plans to introduce yourself to the world as a real estate agent. One of them is asking them to download your app. Kind of walks them through how to do that. As soon as they register on the app, they automatically become a contact in your contact database, which is pretty sweet. And then you're able to start putting them on some smart plans and some drip plans right away, which is pretty awesome. So the tech's got some really great features to it that a lot of us haven't played with yet. So activity, let's craft your value proposition. So we're going to go ahead and go through a couple pages here. Increase your value with tech. So I use there's actually a worksheet in there, page 11. I don't know if you can see this one. I'm on a green screen, but so if you wouldn't mind using this one and maybe just jotting down, if you don't know much about the tech that Keller Williams has to offer, hit up your tech trainer or your team leader. They'll be able to steer you in the right direction. But I definitely want to include technology in your value proposition, just because a lot of people are tech focused right now. There's a lot of companies out there saying that they have this amazing tech. It's all about the tech. And when people say tech, your buyers and sellers, sometimes they don't understand what that is, and they get oversold on something. For example, there's other real estate companies out there that say they're amazing at tech. They're a tech company, when in fact they're not a tech company, right? They have some bolt-on technology where they're just taking third-party companies and using their stuff. So for example, if I was using like Lions Desk, for example, is a CRM. If you join my brokerage, like Lions Desk, we have an amazing CRM for you to use. Well, it's not mine. I don't own it. I'm just, borrowing it. I'm allowing people to use it, and it's free with your subscription to the CRMLS anyway. But for example, something like that, like they don't own the tech. They're not a tech company. So there's only 3 platforms out there, 3 companies with actually real estate tech platforms out there. You got Zillow, Redfin, and Keller Williams. There's no other company out there that has a tech platform. So kind of some smoke and mirrors there. But anyhow, understanding the technology and how to portray that to your sellers and your buyers on how it's going to help them through the transaction is super important. And this isn't a tech class, so I don't want to get too far into that. But if you're interested, I'd definitely love to go through the tech with you, because I'm not a techie person, but I know how to use the KW Tech. It's awesome. But I'd love to show you some of that. So another time we'll do a workshop on that. So now remember, your value proposition is a unique, memorable, and persuasive statement that expresses your true value of working with you, that says what you're doing to earn your commission and holds you accountable to a high standard. So let's refer to page 12 and 13, and we're going to start crafting your value proposition together. Oh man, I wish I showed that page on here. So does everybody have the value proposition page? Right, it's like looks like a sun chart here.
Yes.
Okay, it's not in the slideshow. I wish it was. But if everyone's got it, let's go ahead and take a look at that. And we want to start writing some things down that you could start brainstorming around what you want to include in your value proposition. So I actually did one as well this morning. So I could do the exercise with you for myself. so let's go ahead and talk about that. There's a couple things on there. One of them is service. One of them is character, knowledge, skills. There's a couple more that I added to that chart for myself. I added team because I work in a team. I added tech because that's part of our value. I think is the tech. I added network. I think network is a huge value proposition that I use all the time. And I also added Keller Williams, being backed by Keller Williams. So I use the team and the network and backed by Keller Williams a lot, probably a lot more than my knowledge of real estate experience and my skills. Because what I do know is there's a lot of things in real estate that I don't know. For example, I had one of my CPAs send me a listing for a liquor store, not the building, the actual business. And, you know, I'm not a business guy. I don't sell businesses. But did I tell him no? Of course I didn't tell him no, because at Keller Williams, we can do anything because of the network that I have. So I let people know, like, no matter what you have going on, whether it be a mobile home, a development, a single family, a 200 unit building, a motel, it doesn't really matter what it is. At Keller Williams, I can help facilitate those. And I don't have all the answers by far. And I'm going to let you know that up front. I don't have all of the answers, but collectively, guess what? We do. And that's the reason why we did 1.5 million transactions last year, right? So I'm able to use that to my advantage to let them know there's a lot of things I don't know. You know, when it comes to selling residential real estate, there's probably more than I do know than I don't know. When it comes to all the other facets of real estate, or when I was new, I didn't know everything either. So I would use the backing of Keller Williams and working as a network to actually overcome some of their objections of being a new agent, besides selling that lot. And I think I went over that the last time. I sell a lot, literally a lot. Has anyone come across that yet? Maybe one of those objections of being new to the business or being too young.
No, nobody's ever mentioned how much, or ever asked about experience.
And when you have confidence, they don't ask about experience. It's when you come in with no confidence, I would ask about your experience because you're making me feel uneasy. For example, I took my kids to the doctor, and the doctor comes in, man, he's super young, like really young. And he was a young Vietnamese Asian guy, well, Vietnamese Asian, right? And he looked like he could have been like 15 or 16. He had great skin. He was young, no wrinkles. I mean, the guy looked great, right? I didn't question how many years he's been in business. I didn't question how many kids he serviced before seeing my kids and giving them medical advice. When he walks in with the white coat on, with the name doctor on there, I already know that he's went through medical school. He's working at Kaiser, so I'm sure they vet their doctors as well. They don't just let anybody work there. So because he walks in, hi, my name is Dr. His name was Dr. Tran. Hi, my name is Dr. Tran. And, what are we here to do today? Boom, let's take a look at the kids. Based on the words that he used, his mannerisms, his presence, never did I question how many years he's been in business, knowing that he's probably really young and doesn't have the years of experience as maybe like an older 60-year-old doctor coming in here. But that didn't matter to me. I knew the white coat and the doctor name gives him the authority to go ahead and give me some information that I don't have myself. So as a new agent, when you walk in the door and you come with confidence, not knowing the answer is okay, that's a really great question. I'd really like to do some research on that. And would it be okay for me to get back to you tomorrow? And the answer is usually always, yeah, that's awesome. So I never try to sell people on that I know everything, but I could definitely get all of the answers together. So I'm glad you haven't had any of those issues. Perfect, especially as new agents, haven't sold anything. So as we're working on crafting your value proposition, let's go ahead and talk about a couple things. When it comes to service, right? One of the value propositions is service. Let's brainstorm real quick. What are some of the services that you provide or that you can provide that you're going to maybe tie into your value proposition? Let's talk about a couple services. Shoot them out there.
So is
Services,
this
anybody?
just like as me or in connection with the vendors, like I'd be able to, we have a network of title companies and like CLS and stuff to work with. Does that work as well? Like as a
Yeah, those
marketing?
are services. Those are all services that you provide. So you might not be owning those services, but you definitely provide those. So say, for example, staging. You know, one of my value propositions is staging services. You know, I provide that. I have access to that. What else?
Could it be also like handyman if you need painting or you need to clean up the backyard, you know, if you have people who can haul that trash out of your house.
Exactly. You have all of those services. So for me, I put down moving services. You know, I actually lost a listing a couple months ago because I didn't talk about the moving services that I have. I didn't actually have that in my value proposition when I went through my listing presentation. And when I called them back, another Keller Williams agent got it, by the way, and she was awesome. So she beat me out on a listing. And I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. What did she do that I didn't do? And I asked the seller, and she said, hey, I needed moving services because I'm moving out of state, and she needed help with that. And I didn't pick up on that. I didn't ask the right question around moving services and provide her with the information to the moving company, which I have, wasn't in my presentation. So guess what? Went back to the drawing board, new presentation is going to have moving services in there. So moving services, staging, repairs, relocation services, maybe working the luxury market, contractors. Those are all different services that I have at my disposal that I add to my value proposition. Why you hire me? Because I have this entire team, movers, photographers, videographers. We got the drones, we got the contractors. Like I handle all of that for you. You just sign the contract. That's the only thing you need to do. Everything is up to me. Part of my value proposition. What about skills? We talked about skills for buyers and sellers, what they're looking for in their agent. What type of skills do you have or do you want to have to craft your value proposition? So for me, I put communication skills, negotiation skills, definitely listening skills, you know, being question based, a lot of the skills that I have. And then we have characters on that list as well. So I put trust for my character. I think that's my number one trait. I believe that people trust me. You know, I recruit quite a few agents to Keller Williams to help them grow their businesses. And although that's my job, I take it very seriously. Those agents are trusting me to partner with them and our company to provide the best service for them so they can grow their business to support their family. Like that's very important to me. I take that very personally. So I want to make sure that, you know, we do provide the best service for them because they trust me, you know, they just automatically, based on meeting with me, trust the company as well to steer them in the right direction and support them. So for tech, I put, you know, Facebook and Google, they're Keller Williams partners when it comes to technology. I also put network on there. Our referral network is huge. You know, we get a lot of out-of-state buyers and sellers as well. So the network of realtors that I know really helps in my value proposition. I always tell sellers, to sell your house once, I need to sell your house twice. First, I need to sell it to the agents who represent the buyers because we know qualified, motivated buyers don't just randomly walk around. They're working with real estate professionals. So one, I need to sell it to them. And then two, I need to sell it to their buyers. So that network of agents that I sell it to is extremely important. And then having those relationships is important as well. And under knowledge, I put experience. For me, I put experience and being learning based. So I take as many classes as possible because I know there's a lot of things I don't know. So I always want to continue to be evolving when it comes to the real estate world. So, and I have a couple other things on mine, like I have team and I have, you know, Keller Williams and stuff like that. So what I'd like to do is, you know, if you're writing some of those notes down based on what we've gone through so far, we want to go ahead and now start writing a value proposition that's going to encumber all of those things, the skills, the services, who you are, and create something unique that when you say your value proposition, it ties into those specific things.
What did you say for character? I'm sorry.
For me, for character, I put trust.
Hmm.
Like, I think that's my biggest thing. I think sellers trust me. And I think buyers, I think people in general just trust me because I am a very trustworthy person. So I will never purposely steer somebody in the wrong direction. I always tell you how it is, whether that's what you want to hear or not. You're going to have to be okay with that. And if you're okay with getting the truth, then I'm okay with telling it to you because that's the only way I work. If you're not comfortable with getting the truth, then we might not be a good fit to work together. And I just give it back to them. Like, if you're not looking for honesty and the truth, then you might want to find somebody else. And I'm okay with that. I don't lower my standards to meet somebody else's.
Should we have two different value propositions, one for sellers and the other for buyers?
You could, yeah. So, and that's why we went through some of the buyer activity and some of the seller activity. We want to see, what do sellers want? What do sellers need? What do buyers want? What do buyers need? You can come up with one grand scheme one, or you could have one for each one. So if you were to come up, like, for example, I don't know if you can see the logo on my shirt. I think so. So my real estate team, you know, our value proposition is our tagline, which is above and beyond, kind of like Buzz Lightyear. So we sat down with a brand manager and a brand designer, right? That works for Nike, that he does all the branding for the Lakers and the Dodgers. It cost me a lot of money. But we went through an extensive process just like this that we're doing now, but it took a couple weeks. We had to write letters. We had to send in pictures. We had to write stories about ourselves. We had to send in all the testimonials that we've ever gotten. They take all that data and compile it together, and we tell them what we're looking to accomplish with a logo and colors and what we want people to feel and think, and what do we want our brand to portray. And after putting all that together, you know, we come up with specific taglines that we work with. So above and beyond is our tagline that we use on all of our marketing. You know, it's all encompassing, I think. You know, we go above and beyond what an average agent or what an agent is and what their expectations are. So if your expectations is to get a 10, we're going to bring you a 12. And what's really great about that is I always ask them up front, like, what do you expect from your real estate agent? What do you expect from your real estate broker? What do you expect to get out of this transaction? And based on those questions, they're going to tell me what they want and what they expect to get. And then I got to surpass that. So no matter what it is, we're always going to surpass it, just due to the fact that we ask the right questions. So does somebody have a value proposition that they've kind of, you know, and this isn't not a one and done today. This is something for you to really, really think about. We want to make this your unique value proposition and start creating the outline and the framework for you to come up with something. And we can continue brainstorming and continue narrowing it down to find something that's just for you.
I'll share mine.
Good, please.
I'm a native of the area. I'm Spanish fluent. I have 20 years experience making deals. I've earned a great reputation for service and integrity, and I have the backing of the #1 brokerage network in the area.
Excellent.
The backing of resources.
Yeah, having all that written down, you're probably going to start compiling that and maybe playing with some of the words. You know?
Exactly. Thank
like
you.
20 years, I would use decades. I would use the word decades instead of 20 years. For me. I mean, yours is really different. I'm just throwing some things out there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'd write all that stuff down, and you got a lot of sentences there. It's awesome. Everything you said is 100% accurate. Now it's a matter of starting to craft that into maybe one phrase or two phrases that really bring it together. Mine used to be really long, and it got exhausting just to say. So, you know, really breaking it down into something elegant and smooth. You know, like Home Depot has, you know, you can do it, we can help. right? Something like that. It's like, oh yeah, no, I can do it. They're a home improvement store. They sell a bunch of things. If I go there, I could buy my stuff. I could do it myself. And there's people there that can help me kind of get through that. There's experts in those fields that I can talk to about doing it myself. Hey, how do I wire this? How do I use this plumbing? You know, what is this for? So when I go there, I know those people are going to help me because I could do it and they said they could help. You could do it, we could help. I mean, that was their tagline forever. And it still works today.
Thank you.
So, you know, my last name is Ross. What was Ross? Dress for less? Right? So, you know, you go to the Ross store, it's like name brand stuff at a lower price. It's like whatever, you know, whatever was left over in the store that they couldn't keep on the shelves, they threw it at Ross and they were able to sell it. So every time I go to Ross, well, I don't shop at Ross, but you know, they have really cool things for your house, by the way. I always stop by there and get little trinkets for the house, like pictures. But anyhow, when you go there, it's dress for less, you know? You get dressed nice for less. So somebody else, throw out a couple things. I mean, this isn't a one and done. Like I said, we're just brainstorming here. So let's go ahead and, you know, throw out some value propositions for yourself.
Okay. I put together service you deserve, someone you can trust.
Ooh, nice. Service you deserve, somebody you can trust.
How does that sound?
It sounds great. Yeah. Now, say it over and over again so that other people will believe it. Like when you put that on something, is it going to encumber all the things you want them to know about you? It's actually really great. Service you deserve. You deserve the service. Whatever service that is. It could be 10-star service, it could be 5-star service. It's whatever standard they have, right? So I always ask, for me, like, what do you expect? They're going to tell me what they expect. That's the service that they expect. It could be, 20-star service. Like, oh, wow, that's going to be really tough. So I'm definitely going to hang in there and do it all. They might just be like, hey, look, I'm really easy. Just like get this thing sold in the next 2 weeks and we're cool. Like I just inherited this property. It's just free money to me anyway. Just give me as much as you possibly can. Okay, great. Like their standards might be a little lower, right? So the service that they expect is what I'm going to bring. That's a cool one. I like that. What else? We're all just going to use yours from now on. Thank you for sharing. What else? Anybody else want to share something? Oh, whoa. I talk a lot. So let's continue working on this. We only have about 2 minutes left to your class unless my watch is off here. So distinguishing yourself. Let's kind of move along here. So again, it's not just something you say, it's something that you deliver on. So some of the things that you guys are saying could be deliverable, right? The service you deserve, you could deliver on that. Someone that you trust, you could deliver on that. Someone that you could trust to tell me the truth, trust to steer me in the right direction, right? It also tells me that you're going to be a fiduciary. You're not just going to go through the transaction with me. So those are pretty awesome. And then in doing so, you're going to create this stellar customer experience. So like we talked about earlier, it's not necessarily all about just getting the house sold. It's about the experience that they have. And if we get in, we can't get into Command right now. We don't have that much time. But if we were to get into Command and look at the opportunities tab, we actually start breaking down checklists to make sure that you're giving your customers a specific customer experience. And that's a whole class in and of itself. I don't think it's in Ignite. But when we get to some Command training on opportunities, that's all about customer service and customer experience, creating the same customer experience every single time. For example, right now we're in a crazy seller's market. Do you think we have to stage properties right now?
No.
We don't. But I have a listing coming up where we're going to have to stage it. It's part of our value proposition. We stage the houses so that the photos look the very best. The seller is kind of fighting me on it right now. I need to chat with them later today. But you know what I mean? I don't need to do it. I could save $3,000 or $4,000, whatever it costs not staging a house. but based on the standards that I have, we stage every house no matter what market we're in. You know, so if the house is ugly, we stage it. If the house is beautiful, we stage it. We take the same photos, the same videos. The only thing we skimp on is sometimes we won't do a drone if it doesn't do the seller justice, because I'm not going to be a fiduciary and do some drone shots when the neighbor's a crack house or you're behind a, you know, some crazy busy highway or up against the freeway. Yeah, we don't want to advertise that. It's not in the best interest of the seller. That would be not a fiduciary. So we want to create a stellar customer experience. So sit down and ask yourself and take some notes about the experience that you're giving your customers. What do you think they expect? Or what are your standards through a transaction, or what you want to do every single time that brings you back to your value proposition? What experience am I going to give my sellers that justifies my value proposition as well? So some ahas real quick. We're going to go over just 2 or 3 minutes. If you guys don't mind, I appreciate your time here. What are some really great ahas you got through going through some of these exercises?
For me was creating my value proposition for sellers and enhancing my buyers value proposition. It was really an eye-opening.
Gotcha. Now we're just doing a small portion here. The big homework is actually doing it at home. So we're going to give you some guidance here and then step back and do it from home. If you need more assistance, definitely reconnect with myself or Nick or Eddie Habash. Let's go ahead and reconnect together to make sure that we don't just talk about things. We actually put massive action behind them. And if you need some hand holding and some help moving through that, we all needed it. Trust me. Don't think you're the one that everybody gets it and you don't. So, you know, asking for help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. So let's go ahead and help each other build an amazing value proposition that meets what you want your standards to be. So any other ahas? Ahas.
An aha that I had was a point that I made earlier when you said like guerrilla warfare, where you look at your competition and see what they're offering. I mean, I guess I thought about those things before, but to put it in the mindset of like a guerrilla warfare, just because it's, you know, it's your competition, so you have to be one step ahead of them.
Yeah, for you to get your unfair share of the market, you need to beat everybody out. You're in a competition. And I say this in my listing presentations, like, hey, look, listing your house is like being in a competition, and we're in it to win. And winning is getting the most traffic in your house, getting the most offers so that we can negotiate to get you the best of everything, the best terms and the best price to get you to your end goal. Do you want to win this competition? The answer is yes. Well, guess what? That's all I do is win. That's all I do is win, win, win. I never stop, right? Okay. So I might play the music at that point, but yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's how I explain it. But what else? One last quick aha. Okay, no more ahas. Last thing, the 10-4. Is everybody completing their 10-4? I know it's not easy.
Oh no, I'm not. I forgot.
10-4 is a little tough. It sounds easy, right? 10 contacts a day, have 10 conversations. This is 10 contacts added to your database daily. That's a lot. That's 50 a week. If you can't, trust me, if you can't stick to a 10-10-10 because you're a dual career agent or you got a lot of other things going on, pick your goal. Just pick it and stick with it. Maybe it's 5. I'm going to have 5 conversations or add 5 people to my database, 5 conversations, 5 handwritten notes, and I'm going to preview 5 homes this week. Now, if you can't get into homes, I get that due to COVID. You know, I wouldn't go and visit a home right now if I didn't have a customer. So viewing them online is probably just as good, or maybe driving through some neighborhoods, understanding the inventory. I would do that compared to just popping into a home due to COVID. It's not the safest thing to do and wouldn't be professional either. So I definitely wouldn't do that, but pick a goal and stick to that goal and be consistent with it. The key to success is time over task over time. It's how much time doing which task over how much time. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Rob, what the handwritten notes, is that for who do we send those to?
Anybody.
Everybody, okay.
Say, for example, I had 5 conversations. Send those 5 people a note card that says, hey, I really appreciate your conversation. I look forward to chatting more about X, Y, and Z. Or, hey, here's my card. Give me a call. Right? So send a handwritten card to your mom. The whole purpose isn't who you're sending it to right now. The whole purpose is building the healthy habits of continually doing the same mundane things over and over again, because that's where the riches are in. They're in doing the same thing over and over again, the boring, the mundane. Our business isn't extremely exciting. It's doing the same things over and over and over again is what's going to get us a result. So continuing to grow your database, having real estate conversations with people, writing handwritten notes, is another form of a touch. If you need some notes or some postcards or something like that, we have them here in the office. We have like a bazillion Buffini cards that you could be sending out. So they're in a box in the training room in the La Mirada office. And I'm sure Cerritos has a lot, and probably Long Beach has probably twice as many. So, or you can go to the 99-cent store and get like 10 for $1. I've done those in the past. Okay, so scripts. We all know why it's important to do scripts. If you haven't picked a script and role-playing partner, please do so. Hopefully they're in real estate as well. That way you can go through the objections and be able to overcome those. Go ahead and download the script book. They have plenty of them online. If you need help with scripts, shoot me a text message or an email. I'll go ahead and send you out some. It helps you with lead generate, helps build confidence. Here's how we go through scripts real quick. I know you guys are over on time and I really appreciate you. So pick a partner, go pick one specific script, go back and forth with it, give 1 or 2 objections, overcome those objections, and let the other person win. Right? You never do so many objections where the other person loses. It's not a competition to watch them lose. It's a competition to watch them win. When you're playing basketball in your yard or you're playing it on the court and you run up and you're like, at the buzzer, you shoot the ball and you miss, you don't stop. You grab the ball again, you go back at the buzzer, boom, until you make it, right? You don't leave not getting the appointment. So your scripts and role-playing partner, let the other person get the appointment. Let the other person sign the contract. Let the other person win. Practice winning. We don't practice losing. So you might have to sharpen your skills in there, but stand on a ladder and get the ball in the hoop, but practice winning, okay? Don't practice losing. And obviously follow up with your contacts, do some KW Command and KW Connect training. If you guys haven't gone through Command, go to command101.teachable, command101.teachable. Watch all the videos on how to use the amazing system Command. Again, if you need some help on that, reach back out to us. We are here to help you. Any other questions, comments, concerns, hallucinations? Any comments about me? Am I doing all right for you guys? I know I'm kind of maybe a little different from everybody else when it comes to teaching some of these classes, but
I like your energy.
Thank you.
Can we get your email address if we have any questions?
Yeah, of course. If you want to write it down, my email address is tlrobross@kw. TL as in team leader. Rob, R-O-B, Ross, R-O-S-S, like dress for less, @kw.com.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, again, we're here to encourage and support each other. Thank you for coming to the Ignite class and thank you for going over. I appreciate your guys' time, and we appreciate being in business with you. So I'm actually going to be gone on vacation for the next 2 Fridays. So my partner Adam will actually be teaching the Ignite class on the Fridays for the next 2 Fridays. So I might chime in from vacation just real quick to check it out. But you'll enjoy Adam. He's pretty amazing. Otherwise, I would have never partnered with him to run my real estate business. So if you guys don't know Adam already, trust me, you will. He's a beast. So thank you so much for your time, you guys, and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.